I'm MarzGurl.
And I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 44 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 44 of City Hunter, titled, We Asked 100 Kids, They Said Ryo's Our Hero.
I apologize if you hear a humming, a very light, low humming in the background, as the AC is pretty much full blast right now. Los Angeles is in a heat wave.
And it sucks.
It's bad.
It was 110 today.
That's pretty gnarly. Yeah, I heard it was even worse just a little farther out.
Yeah, and trust me, when you're listening to this, you don't want any part of this. If you're in a much cooler part of the country, we envy you.
I hear Texas is having rain right now.
I miss rain. I miss it so.
Yeah, but I don't miss the wild changes in weather that Texas would have. Like, Texas would have really great weather. I'd be like, this is awesome. And then suddenly, for some reason, it's March and it's freezing and we have to worry about whether or not the pipes are gonna burst. That doesn't make any sense.
What's funny is, no matter whether or not we're in California or Texas, somebody's telling you to not use as much energy, and we just laugh at that, because how can you not?
What am I gonna do? I've got all these electronics in here, and I have two itty-bitty kitties. They're not happy. They're not happy if I don't have the air conditioner on, and they can't just go lay in bed with the AC on, like anyone would want. The cats, of course, also want the same thing.
But none of that has anything to do with our episode, so we might as well get that started.
Well, aside from the fact that that is why the AC is running in the background of this episode.
So, now that we have that established, it's time for Mokkori. But not really. We'll get there.
Ugh.
So at the top of our episode, we see a lone thief with a bag. We're gonna be very focused on this bag. We're not gonna say why yet, but this bag is important.
Obviously, very clearly. I mean, there's a dude with a bag and he's gone and thrown it into the wall of some abandoned building.
Or like construction site.
Or demolition, one of the two.
You know, they never do explain whether or not the building is either being erected or taken down.
Hold on, I do want to check the streaming version real quick, because we were talking about checking the streaming version. I don't know why. The Blu-rays, for whatever reason, don't always have on-screen text translated, and I'm not really sure why that is. I'm not sure if it's different from the streaming version. So there's a sign right at the beginning.
Yeah, there's no translation.
There's no translation. But it says, okay, so the sign outside says, do not enter.
So either way, we shouldn't be here.
This looks like a derelict building, if I'm to be honest
Like
with
a
you.
condemned building.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go with that. So in this condemned building, this would-be thief has hidden a bag of some importance. And he's currently being pursued by two dudes.
In suits.
And he hides the bag and hightails it out of there before they catch up to him, which they do.
He stuffed the bag in a wall and then put a board in front of the hole in the wall and then put a barrel in front of the board in front of the hole in the wall.
Brilliant plan.
They'll never find it there.
No one will ever know! But that's not important right now. We need to actually focus on our main character for the episode, City Hunter. So we go back to the apartment the next morning, because this was a thievery that happened at night. Ryo is not in his bed, and
That's
Kaori's
never a good sign.
No, it's never a good sign. Like, I think that's 2 episodes in a week.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks' time.
2 in a row.
Where Kaori can't find Ryo in his bed first thing in the morning.
You know, it's funny that she doesn't really question it in a concerning way. She's just like, oh, that's weird. Wonder where he went to. He's not usually up this early. Like, she doesn't immediately think something is wrong. Like, I would think immediately something is wrong. But she's just kind of like, huh, wonder what that's about.
But unfortunately, this is the most chill we're going to see Kaori have all episode, I think.
Oh yeah, she's upset the entire remainder of the episode once she finally puts it all together.
So what we have happen is Ryo has gone, I assume within walking distance, over to I'm not going to say a new business. They don't exactly establish how long the business has been there, but he goes over to a business called Barber Washio. It's a hair salon, and run by somebody by the name of Hisako Washio.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty simple name of a business to me.
So, as we're told from Ryo himself, he has made it a point to be the first customer there at this particular hair salon because the main hairdresser, of which I guess it's only her, is very cute.
Yeah, I I guess for an animated chick, she's cute. She's got real short hair. It's a cute bob cut. It's not even a bob. It's more of a pixie cut, actually.
And so Ryo's out there talking to himself, trying to play it off to her like, hey, I hope you don't think it's weird that I'm here every day. I swear I'm not a weirdo.
And she's just kind of like, okay, come in, get your hair cut again.
Yeah, you just care a lot about your appearance. I get it.
All right, what do you want to do this time? And he's like, well, you cut the back of my head before. Now cut the front of my head. So, like, this has got to be how he's spacing it out. He can't justify having the entire head of hair cut all in one sitting, or else he wouldn't have any more hair to cut. So he's got to go a little bit at a time.
He's got, like, Don Johnson's haircut in Miami Vice, or, depending on your preference, Uncle Jesse's hair length in Full House.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That tracks for Jesse's hair, for sure. But Jesse has had longer hair than that. He's also had shorter hair than that. So you got to think, like, somewhere in the middle, Jesse.
Season 3 Jesse, I think.
I mean, that's just an estimate to me because I don't distinctly remember the hair length per season.
Yeah, I know. That's an estimate from me, too. This is a City Hunter podcast, not a Full House podcast. I'm sure there's one out there.
Uh-huh.
Now, as Ryo is being worked on and getting his hair done by Hisako and clearly leering at her chest, we see that off in the distance around the corner, 2 little boys are checking in to see what Ryo is doing, and they don't like it.
The age range of these boys, they can't be more than, like, I don't know, the oldest one is maybe 8.
Yeah, I was thinking like 7.
Yeah, 7
thereabouts.
or 8, and then the younger one is barely older than a toddler. He can't be more than 5 at the most.
So we're introduced to the brothers here. They happen to be the brothers of Hisako, and their names are Ichiro, the older brother, and Jiro. Now, if you know anything about tokusatsu, it being very permeating from the 70s going into the 80s, the names of the brothers should ring a bell. They are named after the heroes of Kikaider and Kikaider 01 respectively.
I mean, that's a very good assumption. We don't know it for sure, but how could you guess otherwise? That does seem very deliberate.
I think it's very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly they're very protective of their older sister and don't trust this Mokkori man who's there looking at her all weird.
It's funny how one of the brothers says, we don't like the way this guy is leering at our sister. We should go get City Hunter. Because they don't know.
They don't know any better.
They don't know. They also don't know City Hunter's personal reputation. So they do not know that Ryo is City Hunter, and they don't know that City Hunter, who happens to be Ryo, has a reputation for being a very horny on main kind of guy.
But this tells you that the kids are aware of him. The kids know of City Hunter, and we're going to see more of that from the brothers later on here in the episode.
They don't seem to know as much as that one kid did who, like, had his direct phone number. But
oh, the little girl, yeah.
Yeah, so kids are aware of this dude in their particular city, that city being Shinjuku. So he's well known around there. They just don't know what he looks like or what kind of a person he is.
But they know he's some kind of good guy on some level.
They also, you'll see later, know of a means to contact him. So they know enough.
But in any case, it's time for a little bit of hijinks because they don't like the way this particular guy, who they don't know is City Hunter, is looking at their sister. So they're like, hey, mister, can I help you out with the chair? And then they throw him forward into a mirror, and then they throw a hot towel on him, and then they stick his head in the hairdryer meant for perms.
And then they run away laughing, and the sister's like, oh, I'm sorry about my brothers, and he's like, oh, no, it's cool, and he comes out with his hair all permed and big and looking like Prince. And it's funny. It's hijinks. It's cartoony hijinks.
So after Ryo has finished with his haircut, he goes back to the apartment, but before he walks in, he's like, oh wait, I can't let Kaori know what I've been doing all morning. So he messes up his hair again to make it look like it did when he left.
Right, because his hair's actually really nice. He's walked away from the barber, and the barber has done quite a good job, because that's her job, being a barber. So he has to mess up the hard work she went to. Then slips on a pair of glasses, and then brings a book inside with him, like, you know immediately he's trying to play off that he's been out studying or reading somewhere. And Kaori is waiting for him at the table, already looking none too pleased, like she's already got him cold. She doesn't have to say a word. She knows whatever he's got to say is bullshit. She already knows.
But we're going to take a moment from talking about how Ryo is totally going to get busted here in a second to talk about City Hunter's sponsor for the week, M&M's. Because we see that Kaori has, like she's known to do, put out an entire spread for breakfast, but what we didn't notice before until this episode is that they have a damn M&M's branded toaster.
Which is very strange because, well, one, it's very noticeable. Just such a well monogrammed M&M's toaster with the copyright or the registered trademark or whatever on the logo. But then everything else on the table around it is like...
bird themed.
There's some very specific, very nice bird-themed china and cups and mugs and plates and
specifically
stuff.
The two that we can make out that are written out in English, there's a willow tit, that's a bird, and a mandarin duck.
Yeah, just, you think a lady would like to have some nice breakfast plates and cups and stuff.
Because as we were watching the episode, we were debating, wait, is this Ryo's breakfast set or is this Kaori's breakfast set?
There's no way. Ryo makes decisions like putting tires in his apartment to replace furniture.
Which we see more of in the background.
In the background of this episode, the only stupid decision Kaori has made is putting a toaster with the M&M's logo on the table that doesn't match anything else on the table, and it just feels like as time has gone on this season, Kaori in specific has been very obsessed with the M&M's brand. Kaori in specific, because she comes home with shopping bags full of M&M's and then has this M&M's toaster. She was reading that newspaper with the M&M's logo on it, but like that's the newspaper, so I don't know.
Yeah, that could have just been a coincidence, but we feel like, Kaori, we might need to have an intervention for you. I think you're a chocoholic.
I mean, I can relate.
You sure can. So, here's Ryo's excuse. Alright, here he goes. So, he's got on these glasses. Mind you, we all know he doesn't wear glasses.
He does not.
He knows he doesn't wear glasses.
Amazing vision. He does not need glasses.
He's got a sniper scope vision. So he doesn't need these. So already he's doing too much.
Kaori's over here like, and where were you? Mind you, she's pretty much got it down. She knows where he went.
No, she's just giving him enough rope to hang himself with.
Right, she's just letting him go. No, why don't you tell me where you were? This should be good. That's the way that comes across.
And of course, Ryo, being the dumbass he is, confidently states, well, as you can see by my smart glasses and this book I'm carrying, I was at the library. And I'll have you know, I was studying the works of Immanuel Kant.
And I brought up at this moment, like, he says this so confidently, like an idiot, the same way I did when I was in elementary school, okay? And if you were of a certain age range, I don't know if they continued this program, but they had the accelerated reader program.
I had that at my school.
So I was in like 5th or 6th grade or something like that. And what you would do is you would pick a book and it would have, I don't know, like a sticker or something that would represent how many points it was worth or how difficult the book was or something.
I think it was difficulty.
Yeah, it was like difficulty. And I was like, I'm gonna pick the most difficult book in the entire library. And for whatever reason, my elementary school had Moby Dick in the elementary school library.
And not like a kiddie version, like the full version by Herman Melville.
Yes, correct. It was huge and just an amazingly huge book. And I was like, ah, sweet, this is gonna be worth a bajillion points by the time I'm done reading it. And I pulled it out and I checked it out of the library and I was like, oh no, what did I do? This was stupid. Like, I went to go take the test to get the points on the computer and I was like, I have no idea what happened in this book.
See, I'm gonna date myself here because I was the genius. I knew, okay, I'll read something that I might, because I read it at a higher level for my age range, but I knew, oh, if I read simpler books for me, then I'm gonna get points faster that way. So I was reading
like a bunch of books.
So like Ramona and Beezus and Super Fudge and Secret of, or Miss Brisby and the Rats of Nim. Like, those were all real easy to knock out, and I got myself that little certificate that you got for a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut.
That's right. That's what you would get. You would get these rewards, and I could not for the life of me remember what the rewards are. But I thought I was gonna get there by reading Moby Dick.
You were so wrong.
As like a 9-year-old or however old I was. Okay, maybe 11.
We say all that to say that's the way Ryo looks over here, trying to flaunt his copy of Critique of Pure Reason.
Because he was going to be an accelerated reader.
Like, this was your plan? Like, if you were gonna... This is akin to him coming home, because this is a Sunday. They say at the very beginning, oh, it's Sunday morning. How come Ryo's not in bed? It would be just as believable if Ryo came back and Kaori's like, and where have you been? I just came back from Mass. The hell you were.
So anyway, Kaori knows this is bullshit, and she's like, so I cleaned your room, and I found this photograph of the person who happens to work at the salon, like right down the street. How about that? She's real cute, huh? And Ryo's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, well, I was just trying to contemplate, and before he can finish, she's like, contemplate this. And then she hits him with the hammer, but this isn't the normal 100-ton hammer. All right, this is like, what did we say it was? A million horsepower hammer.
That's what it looked like to me, because again, there was no on-screen translation for this text, and so I'm having to really remember what little kanji was still stuck in my brain, and it looked like the kanji for horse and power, which I believe is horsepower. Just to verify, I'm gonna kind of look at the streaming version just to make sure.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, they didn't translate it. Okay, fine. Horsepower. It's horsepower. I
just double checked right now.
I read it correctly. I shouldn't have second guessed myself. Yes, that kanji stuck in my head. I can't believe I remembered the kanji for horse. Horse of all things. Because I think part of it is in the kanji for station, like train station. And so there's something similar about it. I think that's why I remembered.
Good job. So she's hitting Ryo with a 1,000,000 horsepower hit from this hammer. That's how pissed at him she is.
It's weird that the hammer has horsepower. Like, you would think the hammer would be powered by Kaori, not by 1,000,000 horses.
Well, maybe that's just to infer that the force behind the hit
like,
is
she
equal
swung
to...
it that fast and that hard.
She swung it harder than a Hemi in a Ford truck.
Why is she not going out there and just getting into fist fights with people? Like, if she's got that much ability.
Like, why isn't she not, like, entering the kumite? You know, like, why is she not, like, street brawling for money if she's capable of this? So meanwhile, across town, the thief that was running away that stashed the money has been caught by the two guys and brought before their boss, who is never named. He's just kind of a creepy old guy in a suit.
Yeah, and again, this is another one of these scenarios where a conversation needs to be happening in a room that's really too dim. Like, who has a conversation in a room this dim? Unless you really want everyone in the room to know this is a conversation amongst bad people.
Which is basically all this is. And all this does is get us to the next scene. The old man asks, all right, where's my money? All right, fine. I'll take you to the money.
Okay, great. There, that's settled.
So we're back at the abandoned building, or the derelict building.
And that's where the money is hidden, though we're not focused on the money just yet. The two brothers...
Yeah, Jiro and Ichiro are playing City Hunter.
You know, the way you play cops and robbers, except this is like, I'm a bad guy and you're City Hunter, and now you have to shoot me to stop me from being a living bad guy.
What I appreciate is the attention to detail here. They're both using cap guns, but they're not using, like, blast caps, or maybe one of them is. One of them clearly is using the strip caps.
Like the red, yeah, they cycle through the gun.
Like, I had a small collection of those when I was a kid.
I only used it a couple of times because I wasn't really big into playing with guns, but I had a friend in the neighborhood for a couple of years who did, so he was like, here, you take one, I take one, and we just go bang, 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 bang. We ran out of caps very quickly. Which
reminds me of the time, you remember, the Alamo Drafthouse out there had an event once called how they have sing-alongs, they had a shoot-along with RoboCop, the first RoboCop movie, where you went in, they gave you a cap gun and a bunch of caps, and you just shoot along with the movie, and everybody in that theater smelled like gunpowder.
It was great.
It was amazing. It was one of the most fun nights I've had at the movies.
Yeah.
So as they're playing, Ichiro kind of trips on the exact barrel he needs to, and falls back through the board that is keeping the bag out of view, and they find it, and they open it up, and it's full of cold, hard cash.
And the younger brother's like, oh, sweet, we're rich now. And the older brother is like, no, stupid, we have to take it to the cops. And then the bad guys show up, and they're like, oh, no, you didn't.
And they're like, oh, you're bad guys. And they're like, no, we're not. That's our bag. We just forgot to put our name on it.
Prove it! And they can't prove it, so they run away with the bag. And the bad guys are like, no, wait, this is fine. They're children. We're gonna wait them out.
One of them dropped their guns.
One of them drops one of their toy guns, which, I don't know, it has like their name on it or something.
Well, see, it reminds me of that stupid plot point from The Amazing Spider-Man where, Peter's out there trying to track down the lizard, and he's using his camera to try and take pictures of the lizard, but it's a camera that's monogrammed with his name on it. Like, way to go, Spider-Man, letting everybody know you're Peter Parker. You better hope nobody finds your camera that's clearly labeled Peter Parker. What are you gonna assume? Hey, Spider-Man stole that guy's camera. Just like you stole that guy's pizza.
So the bad guys did not assume that the kids stole these toy guns. They're like, oh no, we know who these kids are, and we know exactly where they live. Okay, great. This is gonna work out in our favor just fine. But the kids decide, okay, now we really do need to talk to City Hunter.
But before we do that, Jiro, the younger brother's like, well, I'm hungry. I don't want to talk to City Hunter yet. Let's go talk to our sister. And they're like, all right, fine, let's go do that first. So they go back to the apartment, and the apartment's been trashed. They found him real quick.
Well, yeah, because they weren't hiding who they were well enough. But as the camera is panning over how just turned over this apartment is, the camera slides from the right side to the left, and just in the last few frames, there is a box in the closet, and it says Sunrise on it, because Sunrise can't keep themselves out of their own show.
Couldn't do it.
And just
couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. Just to remind you, who made this show?
Sunrise.
It was Sunrise. Not good enough that it's in the credits. Just in case you forgot before you got to the end. We're here.
If you don't know, now you know.
We've been here the whole time.
And so the two dudes and the old man have left a note for the kids saying, we've got your sister, head back to the abandoned building tonight at 10, bring the money.
Well, now we really need to talk to City Hunter, so they go down to the train station. They have left a note on the board because, again, they at least know well enough Ryo's reputation, even though they don't know it's Ryo.
Well, City
Hunter's reputation, that if you need City Hunter, you leave an XYZ message on the chalkboard at the train station saying you need him, and Kaori goes and checks, and she's like, oh, okay, Washio, got it. Wait, that name sounds familiar. Whatever.
So as Kaori is there at Shinjuku Station checking on that particular message, Ryo has figured, okay, she's out, I can go play. So he tries to go back to the barber shop, and the kids realize, oh, this guy, give it to the brothers to have that much foresight of, we know that our sister is in trouble, but we also know the pervert might come back. So they have left the most Looney Tunes trap for him that he immediately falls for. They just put a bra on a string on the stairs and left the door open.
It's very simple, but very effective.
And they just pull it a little bit.
Pull it up the stairs, and then down the hall.
And Ryo follows it.
And then into a bedroom, and then out a window. I don't know how they managed to rig the string, like, all the way out the window, and where they were pulling from, but...
They made it work.
But it worked, and he just chased it out the window like Wile E. Coyote, and then fell to the ground below him 2 stories. It hit the concrete.
But this is an anime, so he's fine.
He's fine.
So when he hits the ground, we can actually see the sign off to the side showing the prices here for the barber shop. And now we're able to piece together just how much money Ryo has been spending the last 2 days trying to get to Hisako.
Yeah, they've got like several prices for various different kinds of perms, which are like $60 to $70.
US. Like it's 6,000 to 7,000 yen.
Right.
And then you've got just a regular cut and blow dry, that's 3,000 yen. Just a shampoo, that's 900 yen. If you want to get your hair colored, that's 5,000 yen. So these are like pretty comparable to modern prices.
Let me check one more time, because one thing that I checked was the value of the yen in 1987 to the value of the yen now. And in 1987, 100 yen would be like 122 yen in current money, in current yen money, which, you know, that's not huge inflation of the yen, but I didn't actually get the yen to the dollar in 1987. So let's say, what do you want? Like December?
Yeah, let's say December, because we do notice in the background that it's still winter.
I guess this is to the dollar. I mean, that's not a huge difference, right? Like 130s,
Not really, no.
120s? So, okay, yes, I would say that prices for haircuts and colors and perms and stuff are about the same as what they kind of are over here right now, and I don't really understand.
Yeah, 35 years later.
That sounds so expensive for 1987.
That's what I'm saying.
Were haircuts always this expensive, and then, like, haircuts did not suffer a lot of inflation? I don't understand.
Are haircuts inflation-proof?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Doesn't make it. Was this supposed to be a really high-end salon that Rio kept going to?
I mean, because what we're trying to say here is that Rio has spent at least 6,000 yen within 2 days just to get close to Hisako to stare at her.
I know I couldn't do that. I could not rationalize that.
Like, I get my hair cut once every, 3 to 4 months, give or take?
Something like that.
Yeah, like, I can't justify blowing that on a haircut 2 days in a row. I just can't.
Certainly not be like, just take a little off the bottom, alright, take a little off the top, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I'll ask you to do just the left. I don't know.
The lengths this man will go to for Mokkori. Yes.
In any case, Kaori walks up on him, still face planted in the sidewalk.
And you know she's pissed because she's got Bright Noah face again.
Well, on top of that, she just walks up. She doesn't come running up. She's just like, I already know what this is. My chill is already gone. I already know how I'm going to approach this situation. He's caught me at my wit's end. And I'm just not having it anymore.
He gets asked by Kaori, what are you doing here?
When she knows perfectly well what he's doing there, once again, she's asking
She's asking a leading question.
Right, it's a leading question like, oh please, give me any answer other than the one I know is the correct one.
And he tries to spin it, and it doesn't work, and she just hits him with the 100-ton hammer this time.
Yeah.
And she's like, knock it off, we've got a job, that's why I'm here, let's go see about this job. Mm-hmm. So now we're back up in the kids' room. They seem to have straightened up the room that they all live in. I guess this is kind of like a shared room between the two brothers and Hisako.
Right.
And now we actually get a good look at the bag for the first time.
This is so strange. So I
don't know if y'all are ready for this.
You imagine... Right, there's going to be a logo on the bag. Like, it looks like a pretty nice high-end bag.
Like Gucci or something.
It looks like it could be a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton, like a Louis Vuitton kind of bag. It's like nice leather or something. And the logo for this
It's neither
bag
one of those things.
says
R-Type.
R-Type. Like R-type, as
like
in
the video game.
As in the side-scrolling game, also released in 1987. Like, there is no way that this is not just a direct reference to the 1987 video game, R-Type, because it came out the same year. This also is not the first time we have seen Sunrise just throw, like, video game references.
Or really any pop culture reference in there.
We've seen, like, a bajillion horror movie references done before, like Chud and the Reanimator and stuff like that. We saw on the side of a boat they referenced Ease. Like Y''S, the game series Ease. So this is not the first time they've done this, but we see like the R-Type logo several times.
Like they really want to show us now, because up until that point we didn't notice anything, really outstanding about the bag, but now we can't not see, because the animators are putting it there that we can all see it, that it's R-Type. Like what was going through their minds at the time? Like, hey, did you just finish playing R-Type? Yeah, man. Hey, put it on the bag. No, man, you're crazy. No, just do it. It's fine. And then
it just made them so happy, Josh. They were so happy.
If only I could have that kind of joy to just write down R-Type where it doesn't belong. So the kids have finished explaining, all right, here's what's happened. They got our sister. We got this money. Help. We need City Hunter. And so Ryo's like, well, this looks like a job for me.
And then the kids realize, oh no, it's the pervert. But he's like, oh no, it's okay. The pervert is City Hunter. And the kids are like, are you serious right now? Oh my god. Kaori's like, yeah, well, sorry about that. and the kids are like, oh, never mind. But Ryo's already seen the money in the bag. Like, hey, what's up with all this money in the bag? And the kids are like, no, screw you. You're a pervert. We want somebody better to protect our sister. I guess it's just gonna be us. And they take the money and leave. leave again, and Kaori tries to stop them.
Well, she doesn't really try.
Well, yeah,
she just yells like, hey, come back.
She shouts after them and she follows them out the door, but Ryo's got to stop her. Like, no, it's cool. The bad guys think they're just dealing with kids, so we're gonna take advantage of that. Really, all that means is they're stupid kids and we're gonna follow them.
Yeah, like, admittedly, Ryo's plan makes sense. Let the bad guys think they have the upper hand.
And if Ryo hadn't stepped in any way, actually the kids might have at least gotten their sister back without any issue. The problem is that it seems like Ryo really wants to stick it to the bad guys, right? Obviously.
And he's like, of course I'm gonna help. And Kaori kind of like pratfalls a little bit while we get the comedy dragonfly in the background. What was I thinking? Of course he was gonna take the case. He thinks she's hot. But it's the weird thing here, when she does that, the animators took the little bit of care to let us know she's wearing a cute bra this week.
Well, her shirt has slouched off of her shoulder a little bit, and she's just wearing, jeans, some flat shoes, the nice jacket, and like a t-shirt.
She's wearing the good jacket.
Just kind of frumpy, very casual clothes, but the shirt has slouched off her shoulder a little bit, and she has a cute pink bra strap. So, I don't know, the animators really wanted us to know, hey, she's got that good lingerie today.
At least that tracks.
Yeah.
That is consistent. So now we're back at the derelict building again. Like, if this was a live action episode, I'd feel like they were running out of money because they keep going back to the same one set that they had to work with.
This is their third time there, yeah.
And so they're like, all right, we brought the money. Where's our sister?
Old man's like, oh, your sister's up there. She's tied up, but she's fine. You can go get her and throw the money down to us. And they're like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And they're like, fine. And they run up there and they like take some tape off of her face and they untie her and they're like, okay, fine, we've got her. Here's your money. They throw the bag back down to the old guy and he's like, well, thanks for doing business. And he actually does leave them alone.
But we're both watching and we're over here like, it can't be that simple.
No, because initially my first thought is, well, they're gonna blow them up, right? Like, they're not
like
gonna
you said that out loud.
Yeah, like, they're not just gonna let them go because now they've been seen and they know they've got, like, this bag full of money. So they do open the trunk of this car that they arrived in and there's a bunch of explosives in the
bunch of
bag.
time bombs straight out of Airplane 2. I'll take the second time bomb from the left. Like, that's what these time bombs look like. Acme time bombs.
Unfortunately, old man dude here opens the money bag just to check to make sure it's all there, which is a thing he probably should have done before he left them in the building in the first place. But there was an extra thing that was supposed to be in the bag that we did not know was a thing until just now. There were supposed to be plates to continue to make forgery bills
Right,
with.
so this reveal here leads us to believe what now we can see is very obvious, is that all the money in the bag is counterfeit, and they've been made with plates for the bills that are no longer there. So he comes running back into the building. As you know, Hisako's trying to ask her little brothers, okay, spill it. What did you guys do to get me in this thing? And they're like, oh no, the old man, he's back.
In Pog form.
Not yet, we're too early for Pogs.
Pogs haven't been a thing yet. Anyway.
And they're like, quick, to the roof.
So they get chased up to the roof, and they're like, well, you can't hide from us. And they're like, yeah, you're probably right. But then Ryo jumps out of nowhere, and he's like, I'm here to save the day. Well, he doesn't really jump. He's, like, lifted up into frame, and I'm like, how is he just hovering up onto the building?
And I'm like, is he on the DeLorean? Because it kind of reminds me of Back to the Future Part 2 when Marty's coming up the side of the building.
Or it's like when Aladdin jumps off the side of the castle, and then he pops back up because carpet is underneath him. No, Ryo is riding up on like a
crane.
A crane.
Or a lift.
It's like a crane that Kaori is using. It's one of these construction equipment cranes. And it's the quietest crane you've ever heard because it makes no noise while he gets lifted up at all.
And it's like, how do you time that out? You have to imagine, okay, Ryo and Kaori gave chase, followed them in whatever car they used this week, because we never see City Hunter get in the car. They got to the derelict building, and Ryo tells Kaori, all right, I need you to operate this crane, get me up there to the roof. Why do we need to go to the roof? Just trust me on this. Get me up to the roof.
Why do we need to do it via crane? Why can't we just follow them up onto the roof?
No, trust me, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna make me look cool.
It really is just for cool points, I promise.
And as Baby I Want Your Love is playing, not Footsteps, I would have preferred Footsteps.
I know.
Ryo disarms the two other thugs and provides the two plates that have been missing from the bag. He had them, because back when they were at the apartment...
He had to have lifted them out of the bag before the kids took off with it. That's the only explanation.
Right, exactly. And the old man's like, hey, give me those. He's like, all right, you want them? Take them.
But not before I shoot straight through both of them.
And now they're worthless. And so at this point, the kids and Hisako have gotten in the crane with Ryo and they're getting lowered back down. So technically everything's fine, but like other episodes of City Hunter, Ryo decides, no, we need to blow these guys up. And so he shoots at the time bombs.
And the building blows up, and there's just like a pillar left standing, and the bad guys are just kind of gripping onto this pillar for dear life, trying not to fall and die. And Kaori's like, well, we're gonna do something with these guys, right? And Ryo's just like, the cops will take care of them. Mind you, this would have been a perfect moment for Saeko to come rolling in, and she does not do that, so we're just going to assume that somebody called in an anonymous tip afterwards, like, hey, there's some dudes over here you might want to check out.
Hey, there was a big explosion over at this abandoned building. Y'all might want to look into that.
Or I hope he didn't just hope that somebody else nearby would call it in, like, I don't think it's supposed to do that.
And so once everybody is safe back on the ground, Hisako goes ahead and tries to thank Ryo, like, oh my god, you saved us. How do I repay you? And Ryo's like, well, of course I helped out. Who's gonna cut my hair otherwise? And then that little bit of charity makes the kids go, wow, he really is City Hunter. We need to become perverts like him.
I see the child logic, I guess, because they think, well, if I gotta be cool, then I guess I gotta do this other thing that I don't like to be cool.
But they seem to have gotten over that pretty fast. Like, first thing they do is like, all right, well, we need to emulate his facial reactions. And so they make the bean face, the perverted bean face that Ryo makes.
That just sort of looks like it came out of Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah.
And then I have a real problem with this ending because they flip their own sister's skirt. And I'm just like,
That's your sister!
She's your sister, bros. What are you doing? Like, you didn't try and, like, touch Kaori's butt? She's not your sister. I'm not saying you should touch anyone's butt, but you most certainly should not be assaulting your sister.
Now we're in real uncomfortable territory.
We were doing pretty okay this episode. Ryo was being a weirdo most of the episode, that's fine, but he was getting what he deserved, and these other kids who seemed to have a conscience were also getting after him the entire episode too. But now
this has happened.
Now they are sexually assaulting their own sister.
And now Hisako's like, oh, I'm about to punish both of you, and Kaori's like, and I'm about to punish you, Ryo, which they should. And
this time, like, yes, I agree, they have it coming.
Yeah, this is terrible. This is awful.
This was not a good ending.
Yeah, this is an awful ending. Like, they're running away from punishment and being like, we want to be like you when we grow up. And I'm over here just like...
the audience is supposed to look at this like, ha ha ha.
Kids.
That was so funny. And I'm just like, no, that's fucking gross, man.
That's sick. Like, for real, like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is one of the endings as Get Wild is playing where I don't feel good.
No, like, I liked the majority of the episode, but...
That ending is terrible.
Bros, come on, man.
Like, do we really gotta say it? Like, don't do that. God.
But anyway...
So, yeah, that's the episode. It was mostly
It was
fun.
like 95% fun.
And then that last 5% just kind of tanked it.
Yeah, but remember R-Type, though?
Yeah, R-Type was great.
The R-Type part was cool.
You remember the M&M's toaster?
An M&M's toaster, yeah. When are we getting an M&M's toaster?
We have to go look for one.
Well, we've got a toaster. All we really need is an M&M sticker, and then just
don't ever tell
pop
me
it on there.
We don't need an extra toaster.
We just need... No, we've got a one toaster. We're just going to put a sticker on the one toaster.
We'll get another toaster.
No, we don't need...
We're going to get 3 more toasters.
Is one of them going to have the M&M's logo on it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
5 more toasters.
No!
So next week's episode, we're going to the mountains. We're going skiing.
oh yeah, it's a ski trip thing. There's lots of women, and it just looks like every movie in the 80s and 90s that ever took place on a ski mountain. That's what it looks like.
Was it ski school or ski lodge or whatever it was called?
Whatever it was that Allison and I talked about that one time.
Yeah, that's the one I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that one. Whatever that one was.
It's that one, but City Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. So come back next time when we cover the 45th episode of the TV series, Three Sisters Are Calling, Rio's Skiing Heaven.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 44th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna come at Josh through the window, unannounced.
How unexpected!